All right, here we go. This is going to be the first video of the Amply Academy. So super excited to create more content like this. And with this first video, we really want to do something impactful, something that we've had on our mind for quite a while. And since this is the first video as well, it's not going to be the best as far as editing quality goes. But this resource and guide for this B2B SaaS homepage template, we've put a lot of hours into. So super excited to get it out to everyone. Okay, so the homepage. As a web design and webflow development agency, we are always working on the homepage. And when we have a roadblock with a client, a lot of times it has something to do with the homepage and what content should be on it. And I really think this is something that B2B marketers get confused a lot of the time. And it is a hard thing to do. People land on your site and you want to explain everything, but you don't want to say too much. You want this to be a high converting thing. You want to have great visuals. It's the first introduction to your brand. So there's so many things that this homepage needs to do. It just gets overcomplicated and misaligned a lot of the time. And I think we've all seen the results of these types of websites before. We land on the homepage, we get there, and it's just like we land on like a Wikipedia or like a dictionary page or something, and we're just overloaded with information. There's complex visuals, it's just all text, and there's just way too much there. And then another thing that happens is people land on a website, they'll scroll around, and after a few minutes, they still don't understand what this company actually does, what the product is, what the benefits are. So this is what we want to avoid. We want this homepage to be as simple as possible, using as little real estate as possible and being as scannable as possible. So the primary goal of your homepage is for your users to get the answers to these three questions as soon as possible. The first is, what problem do you solve? The second is, what is your product? And the third is, who is your product for? Okay, so now that that's established, let's jump into this homepage template. Okay, so here it is. This is the B2B homepage template. Super excited to show you guys. So this is gonna be in Figma, and this is gonna be a downloadable resource as a PDF, but also we're gonna give you access to the Figma file so you can copy it and have it in your own Figma account so you can edit it and work on it how you please. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of this homepage template. It might look like a lot, but it is pretty simple. So here's the homepage template at a quick glance. We got a little bonus section down here, but it is pretty straightforward. I'll be going through each section individually, giving our thoughts and perspective on each section. And then on the right here, we have some good examples as well. Each one of these sections here on the examples is lining up just with the section to the left. So you see here a section and then here a section. So these are just some real world examples that we've found that have best practices that work really well for the particular section. Okay, so we are going to start off with the here section. And this section might take the longest because there's just a lot that goes into this. As an agency, we like to kind of obsess over this hero section when it comes to design. It's where we like to do a lot of exploration when it comes to the creative. But when it comes to content, what we're going to be focusing on in this video and guide is, all right, what needs to be on this here section? This is everything above the fold. When users land on your website, this is the first thing they see. This is the first content they're going to read. This is going to be the first introduction to the story that you guys are telling. So we want to be as clear, concise as possible and using the section to the advantage. Okay, we'll start off with the goals here. So the goal of the here section is we're going to want to answer these three questions, similar to what I mentioned before about just the overall goal of the homepage and website as a whole. Answer these three questions as quickly and as clearly as possible. So what does this product do? Who is it for? Does it solve my problems? And we have a lot of content over here on the right and some guides here, some templated stuff to help answer those three questions. Okay, so first thing we're going to call out here is the main heading. So this is our main value proposition most of the time. And here we just want to explain the value provide. And this is an awesome prompt here that we love to use just to kind of get the wheels turning when it comes to thinking of our main value prop. Because with this main value prop, customers are coming to your site. This is the first thing they're going to read, and they have problems that you have the solution for. So we want to hit that so they kind of pique their interest as quickly as possible and gives them incentive to kind of explore and scroll and eventually book a demo and convert. So this prompt here is awesome. So it goes company name, so you can, main value prop. So we're going to use Calendly as an example here. So Calendly, so you can book meetings without the back and forth. So that second part, book meetings without the back and forth, would actually be a really good value prop that we can put right there in the here section. That is a problem people have when they're scheduling meetings, and it's going to really resonate with a lot of people landing on their site. Now, I'm not saying that has to be the final copy, but it is a great starting point. Okay, so next we are going to move to just the subtext here. And really this is just explain how you provide that value and who it's for. So pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy there. Next are our calls to action. So you can see that we've labeled primary CTA and secondary CTA. Every website should have a primary CTA. This is the one action you want your users to take while they're on the site. For a B2B SaaS, most of the time we have some examples here. That's book a demo, try for free. A lot of people say talk to sales. So we want this button to be as clear and as prominent as possible when it comes to the design and UI element. So the secondary CTA is more of a high funnel call to action. So we have some examples over here as well. How it works, see success stories, see product demo. So higher funnel stuff, it could be explore resources that can capture people at a higher funnel. Maybe they're not ready to press that main call to action. They're not ready to talk to sales. So this is higher funnel stuff to continue engaging them and still get them to take action on the website. So next here is one of the most important things is the visual. So right here we have kind of like this left, right, horizontal stacked here section. We also do like a lot of vertical stuff. There's plenty of ways to lay this out. We'll talk about different layouts in a different video. This is a very standard layout here. We want to have a very strong supporting visual. So we want to create a visual, whether it's a graphic or an animation that helps the users visualize your product and the value to them. So we want to create a visual that's kind of resonating with this value prop that they can visually see, all right, this is how that product works and how I'm able to extract that value for myself. This is how this product solves my problems, whatever it may be. We can get as creative as we can here, but we want this to be very prominent and really support this main value prop. Okay, so last thing, I'm not going to touch on much here because I think that we could create, and we are actually going to create a whole other video on this, is the navigation. But just some quick best practices here is we want to keep the quantity of these links as small as possible. So I think a good maximum number of links in the navigation here for these links is the number 5. We usually don't want to have over 5 links. So it's not including drop downs. So we can have those drop downs that can go to different links, different product pages, solution, blogs, whatever. But when it comes to the, if we have 5 different drop downs or 5 different links, doesn't matter. We just want to minimize that number as much as possible so it doesn't become overcrowded. Okay, so next over here, we just have our main CTA again. A lot of times people have a second button for a login or their secondary call to action, some other button up here, which is completely fine as well. But we're always going to want to keep this main CTA consistent throughout the website. Okay, next we're going to move on to the social proof. This should be a little more straightforward. All right, and the goal of the social proof section here is to establish credibility of your product. So some prompts for that is who's your product for, and include those logos. So past customers or current customers, people using your product. For the headline, we love when people do something like this, trusted by 10,000 plus B2B marketers. Or you can say trusted by 10,000 plus amusement parks, whatever your target audience is there. And then have those supporting logos, whether it's in a carousel, we can stack them. The layout's not super important here, but just so people can see logos that they know, they recognize and say, oh, those people are also using this product, and a lot of credibility can be built there. All right, now moving on to the next section here, we have what we like to call what is your product. And this is a great section to take a deeper dive so your users can more deeply understand what you actually do and further understand how it works. So this is great to have under the Heroes section because that entices them a bit. They start scrolling, they see the social proof, and if they really want to understand, you can use this section to do so here. So we usually like to do this visually. There's some examples of product overview video, a nice product graphic, a before and after. Those are some examples. But I think the best way to kind of show you guys here is just some examples we have over here on the right side. This one's from Mosaic. You can kind of see the different types of things kind of flowing into the Mosaic platform, and then the different benefits of what you get. So same thing here, just like a nice product video, similar to that Mosaic one. So different tools that you're using going into their platform, and then connecting these tools. And then again, a very interactive, just to the point. This looks like some kind of Loom video where someone's just talking about their product in a very straightforward way for people that really want to understand more deeply what this product looks like and just further understand. And how it applies to them. Okay, so next we're going to move on to the what is your product. And this section is, I think, really important. And it's not necessary for all websites, but for SaaS products that might be a little more complicated, that customers don't understand exactly what you do right away, and that maybe takes a little more explaining sometimes. So the goal of this section is it takes a deeper dive to explain the problem you're solving. And the prompt here is, why does your product matter to your ICP? So here we really want to hit home. We can go into more depth, but we definitely want to be more visual here. So this is a great section for a product overview, a product, interactive demo, a really great graphic, an animation, a before and after, something very visual so people can understand and see with their actual eyes what your product is and how it's working at a more in-depth level. Okay, moving on is the benefits. And this is something we see. It's very common on websites, and there's a bunch of different ways to lay this out. This kind of left-right stacking column stuff is probably the most common, but you can get very creative on how to lay this out so it doesn't take up so much time scrolling sometimes. But at the same time, these are the benefits. So we don't want these to be skipped over. A lot of people right now are doing these kind of tab sections, where I think it's great, it's very interactive, and I think it works on a lot of sites, but we don't want people kind of skipping over and missing that content. This is a very common way to lay things out. So the goal here is to highlight the main benefits of your product. So super straightforward, nothing crazy here, but just kind of having supporting visuals. So benefit one goes here, some subtext. We like to lay it out in bullet points if possible. Just because it creates, it's a lot more scannable. A lot of times, paragraphs get a little too long here, but if you're keeping it concise, a paragraph is fine. But if you can break it out into bullet points, even better. So really just kind of laying out benefit goes here. Another little thing here is eyebrow text. So I really like to, when we're maybe more talking about features, a little exercise similar to that main value prop is kind of inserting that feature in the feature so you can equals main value prop. So here it could be like, if your feature is like a dashboard, it could be dashboard so you can, and then this benefit right here, see everything in one place. So it would be dashboard, see everything in one place so people can kind of get that context and the eyebrow, and then we could have like the great visual of the dashboard and people just get it right away. It's like, oh my gosh, they have a customized dashboard that I can see everything in one place for my projects, and then explain a little more here and they can visually see it. That's a great content flow that we like to do. And we kind of explain that a little more here with the feature so you can. We want to keep this, again, as concise as possible. It can be a lot of scrolling for people. So we know that your products have a ton of benefits, but we want to limit the number of this. I'm not saying the number's 3, it could be 4, it could be 5. But whatever that number is, we want to keep it as minimal as possible and just focus on those main benefits. All right, moving on to the how it works section. Pretty straightforward, with as little content as possible, visually show how easy it is to get started using your product. This isn't like a full in-depth documentation of how it works. This is just like a quick 1, 2, 3 steps. So sign up, import your data, start seeing results. That wasn't the greatest. That was just kind of coming off the top of my head. but something very simple like that, just like a 3-step approach, so people can kind of see how easy it is to get started and start using your product and start seeing those results right away. So some examples here is, import your CRM data, customize fields and dashboards, get instant recommendations for your customers. Moving on, next here is the integrations. So if you have integrations, I definitely recommend this section. So people are always wondering if your product is integrating with their current tools. They want to know how robust it is. And so this is a great visual way. There's not a lot of content here. I think it's just mainly focusing on like the icons of the integrations that you have, and then bounce them to a different page that can have, a breakdown of all the integrations you have for your product. But if you have integrations, this little section on your homepage is a must. Okay, so moving on to testimonials. Again, pretty straightforward here. This is something that we see on most SaaS sites. Showcase testimonials that are relevant to your ICP. So we have some best practices. So a lot of times we just see like some random text and there's not a lot of context there. And who knows who those people are? Did the people just write those? Some great practices for testimonials are having a picture of your actual customer, company of your customer, position at the company, and then a short and concise testimonial that speaks to the future state of your ICP and the pain points. So kind of maybe more of like a storytell of that customer and the problems they had and how they used your product and how it made their life better and solved their pain points. I also love when people can use stats along with the testimonial. So you have, the picture, the name and what they said, and then you have, 15, 20% increase in revenue or whatever that number is, whatever stats you can show. Those speak a lot louder than the actual words most of the times, and it'll intrigue a lot of people. One thing to keep in mind here, that this is usually written testimonials, which is a lot easier to get. But if you can include video testimonials, I think those are better because it really requires your customers to kind of put their neck out on the line for your product, get their face out there, have them talk. It's a lot more vulnerable. It's a lot more real. And I think it's just seen as less superficial a lot of the time. So if you can get video over text, that's what I recommend. Okay, moving on here to the last section. So just main call to action banner. So this is, again, staying very consistent with our primary and secondary call to action. Once they kind of read through the homepage, if they've made it this far, we want to just remind them again, hey, this is the main call to action. This is what we want you to do. If you're not ready for that, hey, here's also the secondary call to action. Explore this content, explore this product demo. But we want to keep this consistent throughout the whole website as well. This is a section we reuse all the time. But the prompt here is, why would users want to take action? So I think that people can get really creative with this kind of copy to really entice people to click this main primary call to action button. Okay, so we included this bonus section, and it is use cases. We just didn't want to make this template too long, but use cases definitely apply. If your product applies to a bunch of different use cases, whether that be different roles, industries, actual like workflows and like use cases for day-to-day operations, this is a great section that people can actually see, oh, your product applies to these different industries. I apply to this industry, or it applies to this certain workflow in my day-to-day. That's great. So this is a great section to kind of dive into that. Okay, so I know that was a lot, but hopefully we'll all get one step closer to creating a better converting homepage that tells your story, that resonates with your audience, and elevates your brand by using this homepage template. As you go through it as well, I definitely recommend looking at the different examples. There's some great examples in here for hero sections, social proof, especially like what is your product, what kind of visuals people are using to further explore or further show their product and help people understand benefits, how it works, different integration layouts, testimonials, call to action banner. So download this homepage template and let us know what you think.